Good day and welcome back to another World of Warcraft video. In this video we're going to talk about Mythic Plus and how you can prepare for Mythic Plus if you are like me and yet to have started Season 2 and you're about to get going a little bit late on. There is some really great stuff that you can do to make your life a lot easier and get yourself ready to go. So let's dive into it. The first thing that you can obviously do is get your item level up. Now, you don't have to be 650 like me to begin doing your mythic runs, but my suggestion would be to be at least 630. So if you're in your 630s, maybe your high 630s, that's going to be the best starting point for you. See, Mythic 0 dungeons drop 636 gear. So you need to be at least in the 630s to kind of begin the Mythic Plus run guide. On top of that as well, it's highly suggested that you have at least your 2-set bonus, which you can do with relative ease with a couple good weekly vault drops, and of course using the catalyst, as well as of course enchanting your gear. So where possible, if you can enchant your gear, that's going to be something that's going to help you as well, because the thing is with a set bonus and with enchanted gear, you can have a much better immediate impact and a much easier starting time in terms of your Mythic Plus experience. It's also important to take note that getting things like your CSC circlet, which is a ring that you can obtain from the Siren Isles, as well as getting your potential crafted items from the story mode quests, and also as well with the release of patch 11.15, which will be tomorrow, you will get the new boosts from the nightmares. So you will get the new boosts from the Untitled Nightmares, so you can utilize those to obviously have a good time. So make sure you do all of that with your gear before beginning. On top of that as well, let's talk about flasks and food buffs. So Mythic Plus, like any raid content, wants you to have buffs. At least they help a ton. Things like flasks, which obviously give you a really nice boost in terms of stats, and also food, which can obviously just help you in terms of food buffs, is always going to be something that I suggest you do. It's just one of those things that tends to make you have a better time. Starting your Mythic Plus run with a food buff and with a just flask buff is going to make you have a better time regardless. So that plus gemming plus enchanting plus all of those things is going to make you have a better time. Next, let's talk about your character build. So Mythic Plus is slightly different compared to other content. Very similar to Delve's, Mythic Plus content wants you to be far more focused on having CC and crowd control. So because a lot of the times you're picking up trash mobs and different trash pools, you may want to adjust your build to be more focused on giving you the requisite CC and crowd control and interrupts that you need to be able to complete all of these different events. So it's something that I highly suggest players do, is take a look at their build and adjust it as necessary. What may be a good build for raiding or for general gameplay may not be something that will work functionally in terms of Mythic Plus, or at least not as good as a build that you could do. And remember that you can change your different sets and your different layouts so that you can switch freely between them without suffering too much admin. Next is to study your dungeons. So before you begin, make sure you are quite familiar with the various dungeons that you'll get in terms of Mythic Plus. Essentially, Mythic Plus is broken down into newer dungeons like the Rookery, the Motherlode, Priory of the Sacred Flame, and Operation Floodgate, Dark Flame Cleft, Cinderbrew Meadery, and also features other ones like Theatre of Pain and older dungeons, Operation Mechagon Workshop. So having essentially familiarity with these dungeons, not just in terms of the adventure guide, but actually having played them will help you a ton. There's two ways to go about this. First would be to do the dungeons on, at the very least, random heroic, which will cover some of them. You can also do some of them on Mythic 0 to obviously give yourself some good practice at a decent level. Or what you can do is you can go and give it a try on watching some videos. For me, the videos are probably something you only really want to watch more if you've actually had at least some first-hand experience. If you are completely new to the game or have never done the dungeon before, I would always suggest doing a Mythic 0 run through of it, or a lower Mythic Plus, like Mythic Plus 1 or 2. There's no restraint on it, and there's no point in you pushing yourself to like suffer these things, and learning things like your routes, learning which mobs are priority to interrupt and stun, learning what routes to take, and just in general the gameplay through each dungeon is most important. The last one you want to know is understanding your affixes. So affixes, or affixes, however you want to pronounce it, are the modifiers that occur in the course of a season. So when you're doing a season, you get various affixes that will affect you. Now, they occur at set levels. So Keystone level 4, you will get Xalatath's Bargain, which can be between Xalatath's Bargain Ascendant, Xalatath's Bargain Voidbound, Xalatath's Bargain Pulsar, or Xalatath's Bargain Devour. These are all slightly different. So for example, with Ascendant, Xalatath will show up and summon 10 Orbs of Ascendance. The orbs will buff other mobs with haste, however if you stop them you will gain the haste buff instead. Voidbound, Xalatath will summon a Void Emissary to empower nearby enemies with Dark Prayer. This will reduce their damage taken. Upon defeating the Void Emissary you will get a buff instead. Xalatath's Bargain Pulsar, while in combat Pulsars will tether and orbit around players. You want to absorb the Pulsar before the 15 seconds are up and you will get an increased damage buff. And Devour, which will cast a Devouring Rift that puts a shield debuff on all 5 players that can be removed either by healing down or dispelling. If you succeed, you will get a stack of Rift Essence, which will give you 2% max health and a 4% crit chance. Level 7 will be Fortified and Tyrannical. So Tyrannical and Fortified will change each week. So for example, Tyrannical might start at level 7 one week and then it will start at level 10 the other week. They're both very straightforward. Tyrannical increases boss health and damage, whereas Fortified increases non-boss enemy health and damage. They will both be active at level 10. And then at level 12, or Keystone level 12, Xalatath removes her bargains and they're replaced with Xalatath's Guile. Basically, any Guile will revoke her bargains and make death subtract 15 seconds from your timer count. That is key to understanding things. The way they've changed the affixes nowadays does make things a lot easier, I would say, because they are less fundamentally detrimental to certain gameplay types. Like for example, previously they used to have ones that would nullify healing and you just couldn't heal as a certain class. So all of these are very, very good and I think are very solid. So that's something that is always super duper helpful. And then there's just some small things that I want to mention. So there are some minor interactive buffs. So for example, paladins and priests can interact with a orb at the center of the Priory of Sacred Flame to give you a Blessing of the Sacred Flame buff. Cinderbrew Meadery has 2 interactable buffs. A cooking pot, which is on the left hand side of the bar in the starter dungeon. If you have a skill of 25 in cooking or alchemy, you can get an extra action button of sticky honey. And then you have a flamethrower, which is found in the hallway splitting off from the bar. If you have engineer skill, you can use the flamethrower. and this will also give you some decent damage and disorientate enemies. And then you have the Rookery, which has captured Storm Rooks. After the boss fight, you will soar down to the next level. While descending, there are captured Storm Rooks that can dash into with Lightning Charge. Dashing into the Storm Rooks will give you a Storm Rook's Favor, which gives you a buff lasting 5 extra minutes, which is always super duper helpful. And then, last but not least, obviously if you are missing a keystone, or you did Mythic Plus a while back, or you did it in Season 1, you can come to the Dormy, who is here near the Great Vault by the portal to the Timeways, and this will give you a Mythic Keystone if you ask her. This will also be where you can find some portals, which are super duper helpful for entering and exiting some of the dungeons that relate to older expansions. So yeah, that should pretty much cover it all. If you need any more help, then let me know. This should give you a good start to prepping and being ready for Mythic Plus and feeling more confident in terms of taking it on. Remember, any class can do Mythic Plus, you just have to be wary enough of the content and smart enough and practice enough to get your way through it. That's it from me. Bye.